So let me start. So we are going to talk about the phylum, that is going to be phylum Aschelminthes, or it is called the roundworm. In the previous case, we talked about Platyhelminthes, right? So when we talk about Platyhelminthes, we are talking about the flatworm, and these flatworm were dorsiventrally flattened. Okay, but in this case, what we see is here the phylum Aschelminthes is going to contain all the organisms which are going to be round in nature. That is going to be not dorsiventrally flattened. So here you can see one of the common example is going to be the Ascaris. You would have seen in the biology labs in your schools in class 10th probably. So you have male and female Ascaris, which causes an important disease that we'll talk about. We also have the hookworm, that is again belonging to this particular phylum. So as you have seen in the previous group, previous phylum, here also the system of or the grade of organization is going to be organ system level of organization. And the symmetry, as you have seen in the previous case, we are going to get the bilateral symmetry. Again, this is something that we are going to go on, except in one particular phylum, which we'll see in a later point of time. So as you can see, few features you can identify from this picture itself, that there is a separate openings for the mouth and the anus, and that is why we can call a complete digestive system is present, right? Complete digestive system. But you can see some other examples here, the filarial worm, and also you have a particular worm that is also seen in the eye, right? So they are basically parasites. Here the germinal layers is going to be triploblastic, that is we're going to have ectoderm, there is endoderm, and there is mesoderm. Now here, instead of having a coelomate or a acoelomate structure, the coelom condition here is pseudocoelom. Pseudocoelom means it is called the false coelom. Now what we see here is this outer layer is going to be the ectoderm region. Okay, this particular part is going to be part of the ectoderm. And this particular structure, which is depending on the gut or alimentary canal, this is going to be the endoderm. And here there are internal organs, but again these are not going to be completely in the center, but instead it is present in patches, as we had seen in the earlier case. Now the habit here is going to be aquatic and terrestrial. And aquatic, they can be free living or they can be parasitic in case of plants and animal. Now here you see an example of aquatic free living organism, that is Quertonotus. Okay, and here you are going to have the Ascaris, which is found even in the intestine, human intestine. As you can see, this particular one is going to be the Ascaris inside the intestine. Now again, the Caenorhabditis elegans or C. elegans, which is an very important organism from the point of view of genetics, because many of the scientists have actually worked on this organism. It is a free living organism, free living Aschelminthes. Now when we talk about digestive system, it is going to have both the mouth and anus, as we said earlier, and it is going to be a complete digestive system. And there is going to be a muscular pharynx, right, along with, see, in this particular part is going to be your mouth, and that runs to the pharynx muscular structure, and from there you're going to have intestine, and then it is going to be the anus. So there is a complete digestive system. So what else you see here is there is a presence of nerve ring. That means there is some sort of development of the neural system here. There is some sort of development toward the development of brain in the higher organisms. So what you see here is the same picture, but more importantly, you do not see any sort of respiratory system as you see in higher organisms. So respiratory system is going to be absent, as well as the circulatory system is also absent. There is no heart, there is no blood vessels, so that is also absent. Now you have seen in the previous pictures that there are male and female Ascaris, that is both male and female, they are separate here. That is, they are going to be in a diviseous condition, and they're going to undergo sexual mode of reproduction. And the fertilization here is internal, and the development can be through a intermediate larval stage, or it can be direct without any form of larval stage. So when we talk about the next one, the body structure, right? Again, we see that there are going to be no proper coelom here, right? And here the epidermis layer is going to be in a multinucleate condition that is called syncytium, and there is a thick cuticle as an adaptation for these organisms. Now, there are presence of an excretory tube here, and that excretory tube is going to be helpful in removal of the waste material. As you can see here, this particular part towards the on the ventral side, towards the interior side, not on the posterior side, interior side, there is an excretory pore. Although there is an anus for removal of the waste materials, the excretory pore here is actually on the anterior side, and that is going to help in removal of all the waste materials. As you can see here also, excretory tube you can see. And again, it is on the dorsal ventral side. This is a ventral side, and this particular side is going to be the dorsal side. And your nerve cord along with the ganglion, which is nothing but a group of nerves that is hello, can you all hear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sure. So as I was saying here, the male and female, they're going to talk about, they are going to show, exhibit the sexual dimorphism here. That is, morphologically also, the male and the females are different in the sense that here what you see in Ascaris is the female is slightly longer, slightly bigger than the male. So even when we see it in the laboratory, you'll see that when you compare the male and female, typically the female is going to be much larger. So you can compare if you are going to have male and female, basically without any labelings, you can identify that the male is smaller and the female is larger. Now examples we will talk about as carriers we have, then you have the hookworm, as you can see, and again a different image, and then the Wuchereria bronchofti, that is going to be the filarial worm that causes filariasis, or basically the elephantiasis we call it. So that is again parasitic in nature. They cause many of the human disease. So when we want to summarize it, we are going to have an organ system of organization, bilateral, triploblastic, pseudocoelomate condition. Again, being pseudocoelomate, this is something unique here in the sense that there is no other phylum in the entire animal kingdom that is going to exhibit a pseudocoelom condition. It is only the roundworm or the esculments that exhibit the pseudocoelomate condition. Now, they are aquatic, terrestrial, and they're going to be free living or parasitic. Complete digestive system you see in this case, and respiratory and circulatory system, they are absent. Reproduction, they are dioecious, sexual dimorphism, and internal fertilization, and direct or indirect development with or without a larval form. Unique features, there is epidermis is going to be multinucleate, syncytium, thick cuticle, and there are presence of the interior regions, excretory pore to remove the waste material. And examples, you can remember Ascaris, then Encyclostoma and Wuchereria. Now the next phylum is going to be the phylum Annelida. Now when we talk about phylum Annelida, the first thing that comes to my mind must be the earthworm, right? Again, it's a 9th class concept. You have learned about earthworm earlier, and here the main unique feature again is going to be the metamerism or metameric segmentation, right? So what happens here is there is the segmentation present both on the outer side as well as on the inner side. So both morphologically and anatomically we see the segmentation. The organs present on the inner side or the inside of the earthworm or leech, for example, they are going to correlate with the segmentation on the outside. That's why it is called metameric segmentation. So of course we are going to have the organ system of organization here. We are going to have bilateral symmetry, triploblastic, and of course we are going to get the coelomate condition here. Now why coelomate? Let's see that. So what we are going to have here is the epidermis, or if you see here we have a ectoderm, and we are going to have the center endoderm. Then we do have the mesoderm, and there is this cavity or gap within the mesoderm, and that, my dear student, is going to be going to form the coelom, or that is coelomate condition. Coelomate condition. And you see, this is the space. Now this is your intestine of the gut, so this is going to be part of the, or what do you call, the endoderm, and this is going to be part of the, also the muscle is going to be part of the mesoderm, and on the outside it is going to be the ectoderm, and this is going to be the body cavity. This is going to be the body cavity, or the coelom, as you can see here, and that's where you see some of the organs which are going to be present, some of the structure that are going to be present in this area. So as we are talking about, it is going to be coelomate. Again, you know that annelids, you have seen leech, you have seen for example the earthworm. They are terrestrial, and you don't see this in the previous groups. They are terrestrial, they are freshwater, or they can be marine. This is something again new that you have seen in this particular case. They are terrestrial. So as you can see, the progression is going from aquatic, marine aquatic, to freshwater aquatic, to now terrestrial, and slowly from a sedentary, that is from a fixed position, now slowly they are going to become what you call, they are mobile, they can move, and they are slowly becoming independent, they are becoming free living. So you can see here they are free living, or they can be parasitic in nature. So when we talk about the digestive system, you can see there is a complete digestive system. There is mouth and anus, along with the well-developed pharynx, esophagus, crop, gizzard, and intestine. Now these structures help in complete digestion of the food materials. Now respiratory system is present. It is either through the cutaneous respiration, that is through the skin, right? As you can see, oxygen is taken in and CO2 is removed. And in certain case, there are something called bronchial gills that is going to help in respiration. Now circulatory system is again closed type. There is a main heart, and there is certain accessory heart that is going to allow the blood to flow through the entire body of the organism. Now another very important thing that you have to keep in mind, again this is something that you see a new feature, right, that you don't see in the previous group. Now when we talk about the brain, again it's a primitive brain, a group of ganglion, a nerve, what do you call it, group of nerve tissue forming the ganglion, and also there's a nerve cord that runs through the entire right body of the organism. So again, this is something that we see new in this particular phylum. So reproduction, again just like the previous case, sexual reproduction, and in case of earthworm and leech, they are monoecious. That means, right, monoecious means only one organism or one body, you are going to have both male and female structure, reproductive structure. That's why they are called monoecious, or basically what we can say, they're bisexual or hermaphrodites. And Nereis is an aquatic form. Nereis here is an aquatic free living form. Now this one on the other hand is going to be dioecious, and here development is indirect. So you can see here that the earthworm is going to have the male structure, that is the testis, and also the female structure, that is the ovary, and they're going to have the genital openings, male and female genital openings, that is going to be helping in the process of sexual reproduction. Now let's talk about the segmentation that is present, right? As I said, it is called metameric segmentation. So you see it in all the annelids, right from the earthworm to the leech, and this is the Nereis. Okay, the Nereis is having this structures, right, and these are called actually parapodia. And this parapodia, they are present only in aquatic forms, and they're going to help in actually the movement or locomotion in the aquatic organisms. Now something unique again you see in this case is going to be the longitudinal and circular muscle that is going to help in the locomotion. You would have seen that if the earthworm is there, sometimes what happens, a particular area gets contracted, right, and then they actually relax, and that allows the organism to move in a particular direction. So as you can see here, this is a longitudinal muscles you can see, and this is a circular muscle, and when they contract and relax, they actually move towards a particular direction. That is, they're moving toward the head region, wherever the heads are actually, or the sense organs are. So as we talked about the unique feature, there are two more structure that is going to be locomotor organs are the setae and or parapodia in case of Nereis or the aquatic forms. Now the excretion here is by the nephridia, again something different, something unique that you see find only in case of annelids. So here the nephridia is going to help in the excretion of waste materials. Now there are presence of paired ganglia as we are talking about, and they act as the primitive brain of this organism. And again, ganglia means what? Ganglion is basically a group of organized neurons. Okay, group of neurons, that is your ganglion. So this paired ganglion structure, they actually connect to this ventral nerve cords, right? They actually run through the entire body, as we talked about. This is the ventral side. So on the ventral side, ventral nerve cord, they actually run through completely, and they finally connect to the cerebral ganglion. So here you see the development of the neural system. Okay, primitive, but there is some sort of development. Now examples we talk about, you're going to have the Pterytima or the earthworm, Hirudinaria or the leech. Then you have the sandworm, that is a Nereis. Sandworm is the common name, Nereis is the scientific name here. So these are the examples of the annelids that you have to remember. But again, remember, a common question is the aquatic form, Nereis with the structure that is the parapodia. So again, I'm going to skip this part and let's move to the next one. That is the largest phylum, that is the phylum Arthropoda, or that is called the jointed legged animals. Right. So it is one of the largest phylum that is going to cover almost 2/3 of all the named species. All insects belong here. So again, it's the organ system of organization that is common, bilateral symmetry and triple plastic. Again, that is standard feature almost, and from now on all the way till we finish it. And coelomate, that is true coelom is present, and their cosmopolitan, that is they are found all over the world in almost all the habitat that you can think of. Now complete digestive system, there is two openings for mouth and the anus, and the digestive system is more well developed. You have the foregut and you have the midgut and the hindgut, right? As the body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen region. So this here also you find the segmentation, but the segmentation is not like the previous group where we had metabolic segmentation, but here the body is simply divided into head, thorax and abdomen regions. So respiratory organs are present. You have the gills, you have the book gills, you have trachea and the book lungs, right? You can see here book gills in case of the crustaceans, a group of, again, a subgroup of subphylum or the phylum, this particular phylum Arthropoda. And the circulatory system is again going to be open type. Open type means here the blood is going to be present or the lid. Yeah, so the blood is going to be pumped throughout the body with the help of the heart, but again it is not closed. So the entire organs here, all the organs present here, they actually take bath in that particular body fluid or the blood in this particular case. Now reproduction is going to be, most of them are divisions, that is there is going to be male and female separate organisms, but some of them are again monoecious, typically internal fertilization, and most of them are oviparous or the egg laying organisms. And development can be direct or indirect. Indirect, you can see in case of butterfly, right, how the metamorphosis take place from the from the all the way from the egg to the different stages, and finally they transform into the beautiful butterfly. So what is unique, what is something different compared to other groups here is the jointed appendages or jointed legs, as you can see here, right? And these are going to be unique, and that's why the name Arthropoda, that refers to jointed appendages. Body is going to be divided into 3 segments: head, thorax and abdomen, as we talked about. Body is covered with chitinous cuticles. Now this is something exoskeleton, and this is something unique you find in this particular phylum. Now excretion, unlike the previous group, here it is by Malpighian tubules, and the sensory organs are present like the antenna. Then you do have the simple eye that are present, which is going to help in the sensory organs, and there is the balancing organs, which are called the statocysts. So three sensory organs which mainly you have to remember. One is antenna, compound eye, and statocysts or the balancing organs. Now, when we talk about this, what do you call the insects examples, there are numbers of that. You can give any examples you like, but again, few representatives are here: spider, scorpion, crab, prawn, then the centipedes are there, and all the other insects are going to be in this particular arthropods. There are certain economically important arthropods, for example, the honeybee. Then this is the silkworm or Bombyx mori. Then the Laccifer laca, that is we get the what do you call lac from here, lac insect. Then some of them are vectors which are going to cause many of the human disease. Anopheles mosquito, Culex mosquito, Aedes aegypti. Then you do have the housefly, right? Also there are fruit flies. Then there are certain pests like the locust. Again, this was in news for quite some time. And then you have the living fossil, that is the king crab with the what you call booklung that we saw in the earlier case. So if we are going to summarize, we are going to have the organ system level organization, bilateral symmetry, triploblastic, coelomate, and their cosmopolitan digestive system is complete. Respiratory system is by gills, book gills, trachea, or book lungs. Circulatory system is open type. There is no proper blood vascular system as you see in higher organisms. They are mostly dioecious, internal fertilization, and oviparous. They are egg laying, right? That is again something new. So these are egg laying organisms, and the development is direct or indirect. Jointed appendages are present. Body is divided into three segments: head, abdomen, and head, thorax, and the abdomen. Cuticles are present. Malpighian tubules are going to use as, or they are going to be the excretory system for the excretion. And three sense organs that we are talking about: antenna, compound or simple eyes, and the statocyst. And examples, you can give any examples of your own choice.